Hello, welcome to the pet shop. My name's Jen. I'll be dealing with you today and hopefully solving any problems and helping you out. So first thing, I'll just get my notebook that's telling me everything about you. Where's that? Let's see. Right. So it says here that you just bought a hamster. And you want to know a bit more about caring for it. It's totally fine. Okay, so I have with me a few things that you'll need to care for your hamster. I'll start off with basic needs. So you got the actual feed for it, didn't you? Special hamster. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so then you will need a bowl to put the food in. This is just a plastic bowl. And because yours is a dwarf hamster, I would recommend one of these with the ridges. It just means that the hamster can actually use these to climb into the bowl because it's too small to reach over the side. These come in a range of different colours. We've got red, pink, purple, blue, green and orange. Red is the most popular. So, it's got this groove out underneath and this wider base, so it's not going to tip over. And it's long rather than wide, so that a hamster can easily get in and out, because they like to sit in them and fill their cheeks. Next thing you'll need is a water bottle. This one's specifically for hamsters because it's a smaller one. Yeah, it's got the measurements here. It goes up to 125. And it's just a thin plastic, but it'll keep the water nice and cool. I'd recommend changing it every other day just to make sure it keeps fresh. And it's got this lid which screws on. All rodent water bottles have this mechanism here. You can see. It's got a little metal ball in the end, so it stops it just all rushing out. And they can use their tongue to take it like that. So that just screws on. Like that. And then we use one of these to stick onto the outside of the cage. For dwarf hamsters, the cages are covered with a clear plastic rather than bars because they can easily squeeze out of bars. So our water bottles come with these, which it's two pieces. This bit has suction pads which you stick to the outside of the cage, facing in like this. And this part simply slots in. And there'll be a hole on the outside of the cage, and that's where this nozzle goes through. it just clicks in like that, and it'll be stuck under the cage. These all come free with the actual dwarf hamster cages. Yeah. Now your hamster will be wanting somewhere to sleep on night. We recommend these little homes. It's basically a small plastic house for the hamster, and they pull apart so you can easily wash them out and things every so often. You can fill them with shredded paper and perhaps hay. Not straw, that's going to be too sharp and coarse for the hamsters. But they like to go inside, and the hole's just big enough for them, so you can still see them as well. Comes apart like this so you can wash it out. I'd recommend cleaning out your hamster at least once a week. Smaller ones don't tend to make as much mess, but larger ones probably have to be twice a week. It's durable. This also comes in a range of colours. It comes in purple, blue, yellow, red, green and pink. Now, you don't want your hamster to be getting bored, so we recommend some things to play on. Wooden things are probably best because they can gnaw on them as well, which keeps their teeth down. And they're going to be totally harmless to them, so that's fine. This is just a little wooden tunnel basically with different holes in, and you place it in the cage and the hamster can run around in it. You can put food in it so it keeps them occupied. It's a nice wood and it'll smell nice to them as well, so they'll want to go in it. And the holes are just big enough for the hamster. They'll also sleep in these if you fill them with paper and things, so it's an alternative for a bed. And you can get appliances that fix onto them, so you can get ramps and little steps and things if you wanted to place it higher in the cage. We also have this one, which is a more rustic looking tunnel. It's the same idea though with the holes, but this one actually has bark on. And the bark can be gnawed as well, just like the ordinary wood. And this actually smells more like the natural habitat of the hamster. So they can go in and out through the middle and through these holes. It's a bit longer, so they can travel through. The bark does come off a little bit. But they will use it for bedding, so don't worry about them pulling it off and things, because they'll use it to sleep in. This one doesn't come with the cage, it's an extra £3.50. Yeah. Another thing that we have is this bendable wooden apparatus, I suppose. It's made up of small logs, and there is a thick metal wire, 2 thick metal wires through like this, so you can bend it into different shapes. The hamsters will climb these and they'll go underneath. You can have them all different shapes, and they're not going to bend out of shape easily because the wire is really tough. They also like to gnaw on these a lot, so it's good to have 1 or 2 in the cage. And it means you can change it up every so often, so they're not going to get bored of the same thing over and over. Now let me just have a look in my notebook. Now, when you were on the phone, you said you were also thinking about getting a couple more pets, because you've just got hamster at the moment. What type of pets were you thinking of? Guinea pigs? And you're thinking of fostering a dog? Yeah. We do that service as help for maybe people who are in hospital and don't want to leave their dogs in kennels, or people are going on holiday and they don't want to leave them in kennels and they prefer to leave them with a family. The dogs usually have some sort of medical condition and they don't want them stressed out. That's usually why. The one that I'll show you today actually has epilepsy, but as long as he takes his tablets twice a day, he's absolutely fine. It's totally fine as long as you're prepared for that. Okay. Before I show you the guinea pigs, I'll show you a couple of differences that they have to hamsters. First and foremost is what they eat. They will eat greens such as lettuce, cabbage. The darker the green the better. The lighter greens like iceberg lettuce aren't as good for them. They'll still eat it, but it's more like a treat for them. They also eat grass. Don't give it to them too often or it will upset the stomach. And hard vegetables and fruits like carrots, apples. They do enjoy grapes now and then, but again just as a treat because they're very sweet. Their main diet are these tasty nuggets. For guinea pigs of all ages, so they can have them from being young to very old. Give a guinea pig 30 to 50 grams, but as long as you just put a couple of handfuls in their bowl, they'll be fine. These ones actually have mint extract to aid digestion. You can get them with blackcurrant as well, but we found that they prefer the mint here anyway. Just depends on the guinea pig. Some extra information on the back as well. It says, did you know guinea pigs have a sweet tooth? That's why they pick out the sugary, starchy bits of muesli, leaving the fibre, vitamins and minerals behind. These nuggets prevent selective feeding because every nugget contains the same high fibre, vitamins, minerals and other nutrients. So they're not going to be fussy with these. They all look exactly the same. So they're not going to pick and choose what they eat, so they're going to get the best of everything. They come in these size bags, or they do come in a large bag, depending on how much you want to pay. For a guinea pig's bowl, you can get the plastic ones. They're bigger than this, obviously, but they can tip them. They stand on the edge and they'll tip, even if they're a non-tipping style. So I would recommend one of these porcelain ones. They're much heavier than the plastic ones, and if you get a wide circular one, they can't tip them. This one actually says guinea pig. It's very tough. And you can put this one outside as well if you've got them in a run. I've got some nuggets in here to show you actually. Oops. They all look exactly the same. So they can just stick in whenever. And guinea pigs also like to play, so we do stock larger versions of these, which are about 3 times the size, for the guinea pigs to walk over and go under. And we also stock these in a much bigger size, like this. As for choosing the sex of your guinea pig, girls prefer to be in pairs, males prefer to be on their own. If you're going to pair up a male, it's well, if you do it with a female, you're going to have lots of little guinea pigs on your hands, and if you do it with another male, there is a strong chance that they will fight. Males tend to really go for it, and it's not just like a little nibble here and there. They can really get into some nasty arguments. So I would recommend 2 girls if you're starting off. They're very sociable creatures and very loving if you pay enough attention to them. Okay, alright, I'll go and get some for you to look at then. Okay, so we've got our 2 guinea pigs here that are currently for sale. This nosy one here is Mila, and this black one is Kuro. Now they do have very different personalities, as you can already see. Mila likes to be involved in everything and tries new things all the time. Whereas Kuro just lays back and gets on with things. They're just eating the grass at the moment. And while they do that, I'll tell you a few things about them. Guinea pigs live for around 7 or 8 years, depending on how well they're taken care of. They don't need washing, as they're very clean animals. You don't need to bath them. They do, however, require one small caretaking process. And that is, they need their claws cutting every so often. So as you can see, they've got quite long claws. Every 2 or 3 weeks they'll need cutting just with nail clippers. You just trim them slightly with white nails, white mealers. It's quite simple because you can see where the blood vessel ends in each nail. Now you don't ever cut that. With Kuro, however, she has black nails, so it's much harder to cut. So you just have to cut the tiniest bit off, just so it's more comfortable for them to walk around and they're not as sharp. If you do accidentally snip one of the little blood vessels in their toes, then it will bleed, but it won't bleed for very long, so don't be too scared if you accidentally do it. They're very inquisitive, and the more you handle them, the tamer they will become. They enjoy running around, so if you let them in the garden, they will run and they will try and escape. They are good for young children, although they can bite sometimes. It's never anything too serious, it's always just a little nibble. Once they realise you're not food, they'll stop. Grass is definitely this pair's favourite. I wouldn't give them too much because they will just eat it until there's nothing left. They do make a noise. They chunter to each other, kind of communicate, and they will recognise the sound of food and they'll squeak quite loud. Let's see if we can get them to squeak. They've definitely heard it. No, they're too starstruck, I think. They don't like the top of their heads touched too much. It will kind of knock you off. They do like to be covered up, however. So if you put a blanket down, they will go underneath it and sleep. They'll also eat anything that seems edible, including your hair, so try and keep them away from your hair. And they do recognise the sound of your voice as well, so they'll know who feeds them. If you get rosette guinea pigs, they have longer hair and it's kind of curled like this. And they will need brushing now and then, just to make sure the hair doesn't mat or anything. all guinea pigs' hair will moult as well constantly, so you will get hairs everywhere, but they're easy to hoover up, I suppose. Now, I said before that it's best to get 2 girls, which is certainly true, but even though they are both girls, they will still have a little go at each other now and then, but it shouldn't be anything too serious. They're also really healthy animals, so you shouldn't ever have to take them to the vet. Yeah, that's about it really for guinea pigs. These ones are, let's see, about 9 months old, maybe a little bit older. It's about as big as they'll get. When you first get them, they can be really small, but if they're too small, they shouldn't be away from their parents yet. So if you do see any that are really tiny, they're not going to survive, so I wouldn't recommend getting them at all. Just having a bit of a nibble on my finger there. I'm not edible, thanks. They do all have very different personalities, so depending on which ones you get, they'll all do something different and act differently. However, they'll all react the same to the sound of food. They will sit on your lap as well, and they will try and climb, but do remember that they're not as agile as rats or gerbils, so if they want to sit on your shoulder, for example, they will, but they won't stay there very long because they can't balance very well. Except for Kuro, who seems to be some sort of acrobat. One thing that they really don't like is if you stroke them the wrong way. It does get them quite riled up, like this. Okuro's so placid she doesn't mind, but any normal guinea pig really doesn't like it. So you want to keep them as happy as possible, really. In the winter, they can be brought in the house if you put them in a cage. Just so they don't get too cold, because they will freeze. They really don't like the cold too much. So if there is snow on the ground, I would recommend bringing them inside just so they don't get too cold. Gonna help. They will need cleaning out at least once a week as well. They do make quite a mess. And they do smell if they get left for too long, so once or twice a week we're cleaning them out. Should do fine. So that's our guinea pigs. Would you like to take a look at one of the adoptive dogs we have? Okay, I put these away before because the dog really doesn't like them. Okay, I won't be a moment. That was Sparky. Come here please, Sparky. Come here. Okay, so this is Sparky, one of our dogs up for foster care. He is a Cane Terrier cross. And we think he's about 12 years old, but he was from a shelter, so we can't be sure. He needs walking twice a day, and he also takes Epifen tablets twice a day for his epilepsy. Because he's got such long hair, he does need it brushing quite often. And he does need it cut around his eyes quite often because he can't see otherwise. He's quite aggressive towards people other than his owners, especially men. So we have to be careful with him. He is a loving dog though, and once he gets to know you, he will love you. Poor Sparky. Sparky. He'll never win any beauty contests, but he's adorable. He wears this collar. Which is just a regular collar. Excuse me. Fastens nicely, but he can't use the leads that, oops, that's twisted. You can't wear the leads that extend because he pulls and snaps them. We've had that on a couple of occasions actually. With dogs you have to be careful of certain things. Lungworm, if they eat snails or slugs or lick them, they can get very bad disease. They can also get parvo, which makes them extremely ill and can be fatal. But as long as you keep them healthy, well fed, well exercised, then they'll be fine. You always have to check inside dogs' ears, especially dogs with long hair like Sparky, just to make sure there's not any redness or soreness, and also their teeth. He's not going to let me show you his teeth, but oh, there. You have to make sure their gums are healthy. These big gums. They do like massages, just like people. You can massage their shoulders, down their back, their legs, also the head. They enjoy that. I wouldn't recommend Sparky with any children because he can snack now and then. He seems quite placid now, but his temperament can change very quickly. For example, he can become very alert suddenly, and he won't let anyone touch his toys. So if you try and touch his toys, he will have a go. But he does like a good stroke now and then. How you doing? Okay, thank you very much for coming. I hope you'll take on board my advice and have a look at some of the other pets we're offering. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon. Bye. Say bye, Sparky.